So I, 25 female, usually work from home and frequently babysit my brothers, 31, and sister-in-law's kids. They have 3 kids, all between the ages of a young child to pre-tween. My brother has a rather demanding job that I won't be revealing here as I don't think he'd want me to, and his wife is a nurse, so frequently they'll need me to babysit for them, and usually it's fine. My brother contacted me a few days ago and asked if I could babysit his kids for the upcoming weekend, as he and his wife would be 2 states away. Usually I would agree, but I planned a trip with some friends to go to NYC, clear across the country from us, for a few days. I told him such, but he got upset and told me that my vacation could wait because whatever it is he had to go to was work-related and extremely important, and that his wife was caring for her mother, who had a stroke recently. I told him that I wouldn't be canceling my plans as I needed a break from work, and he blew up and started yelling about how I shouldn't be tired because I sit at home all day and don't have any kids, at which point I just hung up on him after telling him no once again. Fast forward to my trip, and I'm hanging out at the hotel with my girlfriends. I checked my phone and saw a notification from 2 hours ago that there was movement detected at my front door. I checked my camera, and I'm just entirely floored. On my front porch were his kids, who had been sitting there unsupervised for 2 hours. Of course, I flipped out and called my brother, screaming at him about this, and asked where he was and why he would just leave them there when he knew I wouldn't be there. He then freaks out at me because I'm not at home, where I was supposed to be. No, I wasn't. I told him I wouldn't be, and tells me that I've left his kids in a dangerous situation because he's 2 cities away from home. It turns out that after I hung up on him, he decided he would call my bluff and drop them off anyway. Then he just left without even checking if I was even home. Now I'm furious and worried sick about my nieces. So without anyone any of us could call to take care of them, I called the police and informed them of the situation and that there was no one in the city to take care of them. Then I called my sister-in-law to tell her that I had called the police, and turns out she had no idea I wouldn't be there because my brother lied to her. Of course she's furious at him, and my brother is spamming me with text that I'm going to get his kids taken away, and his wife won't talk to him. Overall, I'm just angry and just as confused as to what was going on in his head when he decided to just leave 3 kids, all under the age of 8, all alone and leave the city. Am I the idiot for reporting my brother? Not the idiot. Your brother's actions were so dangerous, reckless, spiteful, and idiotic. He was playing chicken with you, with his children's welfare. Father of the Year. No way should anyone ever just drop their kids off at the doorstep and leave. I wouldn't even do that for adult friends at their own houses. I always hang around to ensure they get inside. I feel bad for you and your sister-in-law that she may also have to deal with any fallout, but your brother absolutely needed a wake-up call from the cops. I would so kick my SO to the curb if he did this, so I could keep my kids. I wouldn't be losing them because he's a horrible parent. You did right by calling for help since no one was around. Please remember you were put in a difficult situation, and you handled it well. Glad your sister-in-law is mad at him as well. These poor kids. He fears losing his kids, and his wife isn't speaking with him? He deserves it. You did what you had to do to protect those children. You were clear about not being available for the kids, and you even told him you wouldn't be in the state, yet he chose to drop them off anyways? Disgusting. Don't agree to babysit anymore. He clearly thinks they're not his responsibility, and he needs to understand that his children are his responsibility, no matter what. My sister Emma, 32, is getting married next year. She started dating her fiancé in college, so this has been a long time coming for her. Meanwhile, I, 28 male, got married a couple of months ago after 1 year of dating plus 1 year of being engaged. Emma was bitter when I got engaged, and she hasn't reached that milestone yet, but there was nothing I could do about that. Emma asked my wife, Kate, 25, to be a bridesmaid. They aren't that close, but it was a nice gesture. Kate was shocked but said yes. This weekend, while at our mom's house, Emma talked about how all her friends are having kids and how she can't wait. I told her same here and let her know that Kate and I plan to start trying soon. She then goes, wait. I hope by soon you mean after my wedding. To which I laughed, thinking she was joking, and I was like, "No, I mean soon." Emma freaked out and said that if I was going to do the big wedding be for her despite being 4 years younger, the least I could do was not be pregnant at her wedding. Again, I thought surely she must not be serious and told her, "I don't know how long it'll take, but there is a high likelihood of Kate being pregnant at her wedding. It's just what it is." Assuming no complications and no infertility on either side, we don't expect there to be. Emma was really upset and said she wouldn't have asked Kate to be a bridesmaid if she knew she might be showing. I said I'm sure Kate would be fine with stepping down from the wedding party, no big deal. Confirmed with Kate, she's fine and not offended, but Emma's still mad at us. It felt ridiculous to me, but my female friend said, "You're right, that's unreasonable, but I get what Emma feels." So, are we in the wrong? Not the idiot. That was ludicrous. She's absolutely delusional. Side note, they do make maternity bridal party gowns. This sounds like a headache, and you and your spouse would be better off as guests. She's a bridezilla, and it's insane. Brides don't get to dictate the lifestyle or life choices of the people in their parties. The fact that she's trying to do so is laughable. And your female friend is a little out there too. I don't get how Emma feels. I'm usually a firm believer that you're allowed to feel what you feel, but this is a freaking stretch. You can't get engaged first? I'm the oldest. You can't get married first? I'm the oldest. You can't get pregnant first? I'm the oldest. Those types of arguments make no sense, and it's ludicrous to try and justify them. Heck, even if I can understand the emotion of jealousy and how it applies to this situation, it's frickin' jealousy. Your own jealousy is always on you to handle. First, you shut up about it. Literally, bite your tongue if you have to, and then you find a way to deal with it without negatively affecting others. Finally, go get some therapy if it's as all-consuming as this. My 19 female, mom died of cancer when I was almost 5. Her passing devastated my dad. I know he loved her more than anything, and losing her and then raising a child alone was hard. He always made sure to preserve her memory, though. He'd tell stories and show me pictures and videos, take me to visit her family as often as we could, and we still leave fresh flowers at her grave every Saturday morning. He's always tried to honor her as best he can. For 14 years, my father has never even glanced at another woman. I didn't ever bring up dating to him because I've never lost my spouse. I don't know what it's like to love someone who isn't here anymore, but I also didn't want him to think or believe that he wasn't allowed to move on. I know he met someone about 6 months ago. She works with him, and they're just friends, but she makes him happier than I've seen him in years. I caught him smiling at his phone a while back and saw that he'd been texting her. They're being flirty with each other. I subtly let him know that I would never be mad at him for moving on, and that none of us deserves to live without love. That must have helped him gain the confidence to ask her out, because he has a date on Friday. He doesn't know that I know it's a date, but it was. Somehow my maternal grandmother found out about it, and she called me to ask what was going on with him and this woman. I said that it was Dad's business, and that as far as I knew, the woman was only a coworker and friend. Then my grandma started saying that it was wrong for my dad to even think about dating because he'd taken vows when he married my mother, and those vows should have been honored even in death. I said very gently that it's been 14 years since Mom died, and that she wouldn't have wanted my dad to live and die alone with only her memory to keep him company. Grandma said that I just didn't understand, and it was horrible for my dad to want to move on from his wife. Finally, I told her that if she's still mourning my mom, that's fine, but you can't expect the rest of us to forever put our lives on hold for a woman who isn't here anymore. I know that it really upset her because she still hasn't texted or called me back since hanging up. She hasn't told my dad how she feels. I'm still hoping he won't find out about it because I don't want to mess up this date for him. I know he should be allowed to move on, but I don't know if I was wrong to be so blunt with my grandmother. Not the idiot. It was inappropriate for your grandmother to try to tell you what your father's doing is wrong. So however blunt you might have been, although it doesn't sound blunt at all, she would still be in the wrong. She may need time to process how you and your father's relationship with her might change if he does start dating someone else more seriously, but that's for her to deal with. It's clear your grandmother's still mourning her daughter, but your grandmother's grief is not your father's burden to carry. It's been 14 years, And I'm sure your father still loved her for every single one of those. But that love and those past vows he made with her do not mean he isn't allowed to move on. You're a good daughter for gently encouraging him to continue his life and defending him to your grandmother. Try not to be too hard on yourself for what you told her. I don't think your words were too blunt at all. I, 26 male, have not spoken to my brother, 27, in 2 years. This is because I cut him off, and now he's dead to me. The reason? He slept with my long-term girlfriend at the time, Amy, 26, who I had been with for 10 years at that point, so from the ages of 14. We were living together, talking about marriage, and they were carrying on behind my back for at least 2 years. I believe it could have been longer, but I know it was at least as long as we lived together. I found out and told the two of them that I never wanted to see them again. My whole family found out for me, and things were explosive for a while. My parents went after my brother, as did my sister, to tell him how crappy what he did was. How could he do it? Asking if he was cruel or just dumb, etc. Eventually things settled, and I think what sparked that was Amy getting pregnant with his kid. I stood firm. I was not interested in having any contact. As far as I was concerned, he was dead, and I didn't care what happened to him, but he was not welcome to be in my life. I was not interested in their kid, etc. My family accepted it at first, but then they realized I would avoid family gatherings where they were present. I would ignore any invitations from my brother to meet his kid or for his wedding, and we would never all be together again. That's when they started telling me how difficult it is never to have us all in the same room and feel me fade away from them. It became even more of an issue when my current girlfriend, Ellie, and I found out that she was pregnant, which was unplanned and unexpected. We've only been together a year, but we're happy. My parents told me it would be nice for the cousins to know each other. I said no. They brought it up again by suggesting that I could ignore my brother and Amy but still be present. I told them I got that it was painful for them, but they needed to learn to accept that their family will never be the same again, and the division will always be there now. I said I didn't want my child to know Amy or my brother, and I didn't care to know their kid either. They were upset but said that they understood. So it was extended family who had been asking about a baby shower for mine and Ellie's child that came for me, saying that I broke my parents and had no right to crush them like that. What if they were dying? Would I refuse to let them have all 3 kids in a room one last time? Am I the idiot? Oh, they expected you to come to their wedding and smile for the family photos? I'm sorry. Did your parents forget who all caused the problem here? It's your brother's fault. It's your decision. Not the idiot. Your brother is. Your brother made this choice and is solely responsible for this, not you. You're not obligated to face your abuser and make other family members happy. That's selfish on their part. As for their ridiculous question, my response would have been to screw off with that guilt trip BS. But again, you were the victim here. They have no right to come at you like this. You didn't crush your parents. Your brother did. And if they have anything to say of it, they need to go at your brother. If it were me, I'd disinvite them for further contact with my family over that. The audacity would make me see red. Cheating is obviously awful at any point in a relationship, but after 10 years of dating and living together with plans for the future, and cheating with OP's brother? I cannot imagine the levels of pain OP's been going through. That's genuinely evil. I wish people would just break up when they're done with the relationship, instead of cheating. I, 30 male, have been engaged to my girlfriend, 29, of 5 years. Today I decided to break off that engagement. When I first met her, she was the most perfect girl I had ever met. But we started arguing a lot over the years. The good times are great, but when we fight, it turns into a nightmare. When we're doing well, I can't even fathom getting into a nasty fight with a sweet girl like her. But as soon as we start fighting, she becomes a different person. She also has anger issues running in her family. Fast forward to today's argument. We were talking late on the phone last night. She's currently back home in a different country for 4 months. And in a moment of bliss, I told her that I would prolong my departure for a business trip to spend an extra couple of days with her when she returns from home for a few weeks. This morning I found out that my company would be willing to pay for a ticket with an extended layover in my brother's location. I haven't seen him and his kids in almost 2 years before my business trip. I work overseas and don't get to go back stateside very regularly. The only thing that I would have to do is to leave a few days earlier than expected to be able to drop by my brother's location. So this morning, I called her to discuss some details, assuming this would be perfectly reasonable. However, this news made her very mad. She said everything I told her last night was BS because I had explicitly mentioned that I would prolong my departure to spend some more time with her when she's back. I told her I knew what I had said, and I apologized. I thought I had calmed her down for a bit by apologizing. However, after she calmed down, she said that the only way she would understand was if I stuck to the words that I had said last night, implying that I would scrap the trip and stay the extra days. Once I heard this, I immediately took this as her making me choose between her or my family. I know that forcing someone to choose between them or their family is a huge red flag, so I won't lie. I got a bit heated up and went on the defensive. I texted her and told her to reconsider making me choose between her or my family, but she insisted that she wasn't making me choose between the two, only that she was asking me to stick to and commit to my words. The exchanges got a bit messy, and I said, let's break off this engagement. I felt confident in my decision when I made it, but now that it's been a few hours, I'm wondering if I should have even made such a decision when I was so angry. I tried to include as many relevant details as possible to paint an accurate, objective picture. Am I the idiot here? You are the idiot. I've read a lot of ultimatums and making someone choose stories, and it does not sound like she was doing that. Instead, you escalated the situation and put words in her mouth. And you also went back on your word. She has every right to be upset about that. You should have consulted with her before changing the plans you made with her. You broke your promise to her. You told her one thing, made her feel special, to the next day having a better offer, and jumped straight on it. If you so badly wanted to see your brother and his kids, you could have done that any time in the 2 years you've not seen them. You only decided to go because it was all of a sudden paid for you. She's not asking you to choose between her and your family. It sounds like you were looking for an out. Exactly. It sounds to me like you just did what you wanted and looked for a way to end the engagement with an excuse. Childish move. If you wanted to end things, you could have done it as an adult. At least then you would be honest. But you did the right thing for her by breaking the engagement. She can do better than you. I, 29 female, and my fiance, 29 male, decided to get married. We have already informed our family on both sides that our wedding will be next year in July. We received a lot of support, and they're happy about the upcoming wedding. Now here comes the problem. Yesterday, my grandmother on my father's side had a stroke. She was rushed to the hospital and placed in ICU. She's in critical condition. My dad's sister contacted us and told us what had happened. Of course, we're so worried and offered financial assistance, as we cannot be there since we live in the city and my grandparents reside in the province. My relatives created a group chat in Messenger to give updates about my grandmother's condition. Yesterday, while I was working, I'm working from home, my mother called me. They just finished discussing my grandmother's condition via video call in Messenger, and she told me we have a problem. So I asked her what was wrong. She told me it was my grandparents' 60th wedding anniversary next year, April, and my aunt wants to celebrate the anniversary by renewing their parents' vows. So my grandparents will have their wedding in April. I was happy for them, but my smile faded away on the next sentence. My mom said, they want you to move your wedding to April so you can get married together with your grandparents to save money. I was shocked. I didn't even know how to react. I composed myself and told my mom, I'm sorry, but I'm only sharing that special day with my soon-to-be husband, and only my husband. My mom completely agreed and told me she'd do her best to convince my dad to talk to his siblings. I don't want a grand or an expensive wedding. I just want it to be special for me and my soon-to-be husband only. So, am I the idiot for refusing to have a double wedding with my grandparents? Not the idiot. To save money. So they want you to pay for their little party, is what I'm hearing. Tell them you already reserved crap and you can't move it. That's ridiculous for so many reasons. First, They already had their own wedding 60 years ago. It's unfair for your grandparents to try to hone in on your wedding. It wasn't even OP's grandparents' doing. This is all about OP paying for Auntie's weird fantasy party. Because are the grandparents even up for this? I see a lot of people discussing this idea without the actual participants. They don't even have the courage to ask you themselves. They make your mother give you the request? I agree with another poster. Save money means you pay for it all. You wanting to have this day for yourself is not being a bridezilla. This is a reasonable want. All you want is a day for the two of you. Unfortunately, I suggest you buckle in. I think your relatives will not take your refusal well and will likely turn on the guilt. You would be completely justified in not giving in to their guilt. What a ridiculous thing to demand. Not ask, but demand of OP and her soon-to-be husband. I honestly can't even begin to understand how or why your aunt thought this would be an okay thing to do. There are 3 days where you can unashamedly be the center of attention: your birthday, wedding day, and funeral. Don't let them take the only one you'll remember. Update: I think the wedding will be disregarded. Unfortunately, my grandmother's condition worsened. My dilemma now is that I'm flying into our province and I have to face my aunts. Even though I don't want to see them, I still want to be there for my grandma, especially when discussing taking her off life support. Months ago, I, male 37, started saving up so my family and I could go on vacation to Mexico. I've only been there once with my wife on our honeymoon, and we loved it, so we decided to go again. But now we took our kids with us, Micah, pre-tween, and Jonah, toddler. The thing is, it's the first time Jonah has traveled with us, so we prepared everything to keep him calm on the plane, since it was going to be a 6-hour trip. This was not bad, but we didn't want Jonah to feel overwhelmed. Well, he slept all of the 6 hours and woke up when we were at the hotel. We stayed for 1 week and it was great. My kids liked it. So we were packing, and when we arrived at the airport, Jonah was asleep. We thought he would sleep through the whole thing again, but just 1 hour later, he started crying. My wife and I tried to keep him calm, and even though it worked, it only did for about 30 minutes. He wanted to walk, but my wife and I tried to entertain him with his favorite toys, but he was desperate to move. At this point, he starts crying louder than the first time. I could see so many annoyed faces, but none of them made comments. We played those baby sensory videos of Fruits dancing for him, and he was distracted for 45 solid minutes. However, he lost interest and again wanted to move from where we were, but we didn't let him, so the crying returned. It was incredibly loud, and my wife was frustrated and tired. I tried again with the sensory videos, toys, and everything I could think of, but nothing worked. Then a passenger got up. I thought he was going to the restroom, but instead he approached us. He started reaming my wife for our bad parenting and demanded that we control our baby. My wife, annoyed, told him that we were trying, but he was overwhelmed. We're so sorry for upsetting him. We are trying. He said it wasn't enough. He was tired and wanted to sleep, but our baby doesn't let him. Again, my wife apologizes, and at this point he starts yelling at us. He said stuff like babies shouldn't be allowed to travel, that we're irresponsible parents, and all kinds of nonsense. I asked him to lower his voice if he didn't want to scare Jonah, but the dude was so mad and started insulting us. I just lost it and yelled back at him, which didn't help because Jonah was crying at a higher pitch than before. Then the flight attendant asked him to return to his seat firmly. He left us alone, but I could see many people looking terribly at us. I tried to ignore them and focus on my kid. After a couple of minutes, he fell asleep and stayed like that. When we returned home, my wife called me an idiot for arguing with the passenger that I just scared our kid and made things worse. Everyone's the idiot here. Your kid wanted to walk. Why didn't one of you take Jonah for a walk up and down the plane aisle? I know it's inconvenient to get a kid out of their seat and later back into it, but it sounds like he needed to move some, and it would have been an easy solution to the issue. I am a former service dog partner, and on longer flights, I'd take my dog to the restroom and back so both of us could stretch our legs a little bit. Unfortunately, he was a big boy, and he'd get stiff and sore from the cramped position he was stuck in on airplanes. Sorry, OP, but your yelling didn't help the situation. I understand your frustration, but you added more stress to your wife and yourself and everyone else on the plane. I hate it when babies scream on planes, but I understand that they have very few ways to communicate their discomfort and have no idea what's going on. It isn't very pleasant, but I can handle it. Adults screaming on planes? Get out of here. Noise-canceling headphones are a must for air travel. This post just reconfirmed that. I told my girlfriend to look for a job that pays more, but instead, she just accepted a low-salary job, and she says it's better than nothing, and it's better to look for a job when you have something in your hands, rather than waiting for miracles to happen. I know she complains a lot, and she's bothered that she just got this. She just graduated, and she's still searching, but she says she doesn't want to end up having too much gap from finishing school. But I want her to look for something better. She has a computer science degree, so she can definitely do better. She says things don't work that way, and that I'm just not being realistic. Only because some people earn a lot, that doesn't mean it's equivalent for all. Also, she says that things will be better once she has the experience. My parents ask me about her, and they expect that she can make good money. And when I tell them what her salary would be, they start saying that maybe she's not that smart and she was able to graduate out of luck. I think maybe that's the case. I told her that and we had a fight over this. And she says yes, she struggled and maybe she doesn't fit, but she pushed through it and finished. She says life is not perfect, especially for someone like her without a solid background. That's why I tell her that she should aim higher and not accept the first thing. You are the idiot. Why are you telling your parents her salary? How is that any of their business? Who complains about their partner having a job and being willing to contribute to the relationship anyway? Your parents sound like idiots. I hope she wises up and dumps you soon. She could do better. She's smart to take what she can get now while continuing to search. That's literally best practice when job hunting. Take the low money while you wait, instead of taking no money while having an employment gap, and then keep looking for better jobs. You do realize that graduation means she then gains an entry-level position and uses that hands-on experience to gain more experience to work up to a higher salary, right? People don't just start at the CEO wage, and the longer she stays out of the workplace, the worse it looks to an employer. I think your parents need to mind their own business, and you calling her not that smart says to me she deserves better than you. Are you a brain surgeon making medical breakthroughs? Yeah, I thought not. It's her career and her life. You're just hounding her that she needs to do better, which in your head seems to mean something that will get my idiot parents off my back about who I'm dating. Why are you even with her when you don't seem to like or respect her if you not only let them talk about her that way, but take the bullying back to her? Are you only with her for financial reasons? I hope she dumps you and finds a partner who supports her. My wife, 30, and I, 32 female, were living in a 2-bedroom condo in the city, pricey due to the location but small. My mom, 66, lived in the home she'd inherited from my grandparents with my younger sister, 24. We were looking to upgrade to a bigger place since my wife was pregnant with number 2, and my mom suggested we trade houses. Initially, she was just going to move into our condo while we moved into the family home. We got pretty far in the legal and financial process, but then she had a significant health setback, and we all decided that she'd benefit from actually staying in the mother-in-law suite of the family house, and then she would rent out her condo for retirement income. So nominally, she owns our old condo but doesn't live there. The house was worth $750K, and the condo only $600K, but since she's also living with us rent-free, we were making upgrades to her suite, and we're helping administrate the condo as rental property. So we all decided it would come out in the wash. My sister also lives here part-time when she's not with her SO or traveling for work. My older half-brother, 44, who lives in another part of the country, is very, very upset about this. He's my mom's son from her first marriage. He didn't really catch what was going on until the move was well underway. He and I don't talk much, and I guess my mom didn't mention it to him. I think initially, he thought we were just moving in with her. Now he's upset at being denied a home that's his as well. It's technically both our childhood homes, but he only lived in it full-time from when he was 11, when my grandparents died and my parents married, to when he was 14, when he decided to live with his dad for the most part. I lived in it 0 to 22, even before we moved here. I spent way more time there with our mom since I still live in the area. My wife and I are very active in my mom's life, while my brother lives thousands of miles away and has kept my mom at arm's length since he was a teenager. The move is all complete. Our family's settled into the house. My mom is settled in the newly refreshed mother-in-law suite, and we have great renters for the condo, but he's still very resentful. He visited for the first time recently and was openly complaining. He kept making passive-aggressive comments, like how he was forced to sleep on an air mattress in his own house, and things like that. Finally, I said it had been a fair trade, not a gift, and he hadn't been around, and he said I'd scammed our mom into it, and he should have had a cut of it and been informed. We ended up getting into a shouting match about it. He said he was the eldest, and he should have had a cut of it and been informed about my mom's plans. I told him to grow up, and that it was a snooze-you-lose situation. Am I the idiot here? He gets his cut when his mother dies, like he was always going to. When she dies, he gets part of the money from the sale of the condo, which is exactly the same thing as getting part of the money from the sale of the house. Point out to him that he's been mentally spending his inheritance before his mother's even in the ground. Is he worried about his inheritance? Because he still stands to inherit part of the condo when your mom passes. At this point, there is no cut to be had. Your mom is still alive and decided to deal with her property how she saw fit. It's not even a snooze-you-lose scenario. Your mom is an adult. She can do what she wants with her home. Do I have this right? Your brother thinks his mother's real estate holdings belong to him? It's not his house. It was your mom's, and she legally sold and traded it to you. Is he one of those who start using their inheritance while their parent is still alive for their own needs and wants? Because if so, he can float out to sea on that air mattress for all I care. My ex-husband Leo, male, and I, female, had 2 children together, a young teen female, Penny, and a tween male. We broke up 7 years ago. Leo had another daughter, toddler, with his wife. One of the arrangements between Leo and me is that on our children's birthday, I would be responsible for the gifts and he for the party, getting the same value. It's not big, just food, drinks, and cake for 10 guests at the most, and we meet at the house of my ex-mother-in-law. Next Friday will be Penny's birthday, and this year she asked for a gift of books, as I managed to save that money before. I took her, and she had a party at the bookstore on Wednesday. She asked Leo if she could have a bowling party and she would invite some friends. It would be a little more expensive, but I offered to pay for half of it so it wouldn't be so heavy. He said he couldn't pay more because he would have the daughter of his party too, who was on Thursday. Penny was pretty upset, but she got over it. Today he texted me saying he had an unforeseen expense and couldn't pay for Penny's party. Unforeseen events happen, that's okay. But the fact that the other daughter had a massive party on Thursday with a venue, princesses, and everything in excess, and our daughter went and saw it. He said he didn't have the money for a party that didn't cost 1/10 of the cost of this other party, which made my blood boil. Andy asked if I could fix the situation and try to explain that he has no money and is on a tight situation, but he couldn't do that because today he had a migraine. I said he'll have to tell his daughter that he spent 10 times the amount he spent on her birthday on his other daughter, and there's nothing left to throw her a party, and that he must learn to deal with his own problems without having me to solve them. He tried to argue that he and his wife split the expenses, but just no. When he saw that I wouldn't give in, he tried to convince me to pay for the party, and then he'd return it to me. I can't without committing for the month, and it didn't work. He started saying I'd rather have Penny hurt by a situation that happens, unforeseen circumstances, to teach him a lesson. He talked to Penny and the result was not good. She was very upset. I talked to her, proposed to do something cheaper, and explained that my budget was lower. She brightened up a little, but she was still resentful of her father and didn't want him to go to her party. Obviously, she realized that her father had the money to throw a huge party for his other daughter, and he didn't have the money for her, so she was upset. My ex and ex-mother-in-law are calling me an idiot because of all of this. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your ex didn't run into unforeseen circumstances. Instead, he consciously chose to spend excessive money on his other daughter's party, which meant he couldn't afford Penny's party. If your ex and his mom are so upset that Penny is hurt by your ex's actions, they should pull funds together and throw Penny a party. Birthdays don't magically sneak up. He got plenty of forewarning of what was desired. So why wasn't it saved? How did he have plenty for the other birthday and surprisingly have unexpected things that his money funneled to and for you to fix it? Sounds like he overextended. He can either learn or sink. He'll probably blame it on OP and say she poisoned his daughter against him, when really Penny can see, feel, and remember every time he chose his new family over her. Every time that he could have done something for all of his kids and only chose it to do it for his new ones. A party that a toddler isn't going to remember years down from now? But Penny will never forget this. I've been through it, and that crap is the literal elephant in the room. It's always going to be there. And the fact that he refuses to be sorry about it even. Like the words don't fix it, but truly being remorseful and trying whatever you can offer to make up for it goes a lot further than deflecting the blame and running to mommy for support because someone made you feel your feelings.